There are misconceptions about renting property in the Isle of Man.
Renting property?
Yeah.
Easy answer is, I wish we had more property.
But we have properties.
Yeah, we do. I think the last statistic I was given was there's 7,000 to 8,000 private rentals on the Isle of Man. That's the total amount. But I think where the most amount of pressure is from the rental side is probably anywhere from 700 a month to £1,000 a month. So I think there's a combination between increasing supply in the private sector, but also increasing supply in the public sector, which has its challenges. And I'm not in the public sector. If we can release some people at the bottom end of the rental market into the public sector, you can reduce the pressure on the bottom end and everybody could sort of shift down. So where we used to see people spending, let's say, a third of their income on rent or mortgage, especially on rent, we're seeing that creep towards 50%, which is too much.
In your own view, what should the buyer do before considering buying a property?
Understand your budget, understand your locations. What are the driving forces behind wanting 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, bathrooms, considering your lifestyle, if you have children, do you want a garden? So understand your criteria, but understand what your negotiables are, what you're happy to compromise on.
Good day, everyone. My name is Victor Walsh, and welcome to Unpacking the Isle of Man, where we talk to real people and they share their real stories with us. Unpacking the Isle of Man is about those who live here on the island and those that possess the qualities that are irresistible and yet hard to find. Today, I have here with me one handsome man, Ori for short, and a long-established family-run business of estate agent, offering a thoroughly professional, yet friendly and approachable services for those buying, selling, and letting property on the Isle of Man. It's widely recognized as a trusted household name on the island, known for experience, adaptability, and a practical, can-do approach to serving clients. Ori, thank you for joining us, and let us begin. Can we know much about you?
Yeah, sure. You can. Any question, I'm an open book. Yeah.
Who are you, please?
So I suppose that's quite a pointed question, actually. Who are you? I suppose I'm kind of intertwined with my job, but my main focus is now in the last couple of years just being husband, father, and then trying to provide a life for them through a business that I enjoy doing and that my father enjoyed doing since 1980 something. So yeah, I've never actually had to ask someone, who are you? It's quite a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So everywhere we go, we see your signboard. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I suppose outwardly, I'm that estate agent, which is nice. I enjoy that, and it's part of my life, and it is my life. But I think the last couple of years, I'd prefer to be husband, father, estate agent second. One goes with the other, though.
That's husband and father. Can you tell us your life in the Isle of Man?
Sure, yeah. I grew up, my parents my family's all Irish, but I was born on the Isle of Man, so they moved a couple of years before I was born, and I have an older brother as well. And educated on the Isle of Man, and then I went to university to do an undergraduate and then a master's degree in the UK. Moved to London, worked in London for most of my 20s, and then moved back to the Isle of Man to work for our family business, and then slowly worked in every department. And I was doing a similar thing in the UK, if not the exact same thing. And then took over operationally a couple of years ago. And yeah, enjoy it.
So what has been your major challenges? Be an estate agent, selling, letting on the island over the years?
I think we operate in quite a competitive market, which is probably quite a good thing. If no one was competitive, everybody would stay the same.
Yes.
So I quite like that. It kind of drives me forward, but I'm sort of all over the place. So my challenge is focusing myself for long periods of time. So I find that quite challenging because I'm like, idea here. So it's about trying to just slow down.
So have you been able to put your ideas together?
Yeah. Everyone can improve on things.
What's the next big thing you are looking at for?
I'm trying to adopt social media in a different way to help make our brand, our people, and our business become more relatable. I think it's very easy to see an estate agent, see a lawyer, see a banker, and go and sort of keep them at arm's length. So if we can let people know who we are as people, you're probably more inclined to be invited to list someone's house or into someone's home. So I think it's about becoming relatable. I think that's my focus, rather than being a suit and a tie and someone nice, maybe abrasive, just trying to let people in. And that'll let in criticism and probably jokes, ridicule, whatever. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. So what's your best that misconception about renting property in the Isle of Man?
Renting property.
Yeah, renting or buying property in the Isle of Man.
So renting,
How do you address this?
easy answer is I wish we had more property.
But we have properties.
Yeah, we do. But let's say, for
We have
instance,
empty properties everywhere.
yeah, well, let's say we have, I think the last statistic was given was there's 7,000 to 8,000 private rentals on the Isle of Man. That's the total amount. And yeah, there'll be a lot of properties that are empty. But I think where the most amount of pressure is from the rental side is probably anywhere from 700 a month to £1,000 a month. That's probably the most pressurized area of the market because it's probably the most competitive. Most of the stock sits in that thing. So I think there's a combination between increasing supply in the private sector, but also increasing supply in the public sector, which has its challenges. And I'm not in the public sector. So, and if we're wanting to accommodate 100,000 people in the future, we've got to have the more of a built environment to accommodate it and not make it so hard and have 20 people per property saying, I want it. It's incredibly difficult. So,
Yes.
So you spend more time telling people you haven't got the property.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, it used to be great. Like, yes, you're moving in, great property. But now you're letting people down a bit more, which isn't fun. So you want to give everyone a home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not possible.
Not possible. I mean, we manage of that 7,000 to 8,000, we manage a couple hundred. So we don't control this huge supply. Yes, there's other agents and they have a couple hundred themselves, but we don't control the whole of the private market. I mean, there's people that have 1 property, 2 properties, 3 properties. So we just need to increase that supply as much as we can.
So how come we have so many empty properties? And is there no way the property agent, is there no way you guys could work with the owners of these properties?
I have no empty properties. So if I have an empty property, the landlord's not getting a tenant. We're not fulfilling our end of the bargain. So if I have an empty property, I'm not doing my job. I don't have anything empty. And if it's empty, it's because a tenant's leaving and a new one's going in. So I don't experience on a day-to-day basis properties empty for months at a time. I just don't. And if I did, and if I had them, I'd get them rented.
So how do you intend to use social media to influence your markets?
The overall market, I think it's about becoming visible. So there's certain, just being more visible, relatable, approachable. So since doing some more social media videos or anything, what I'm doing now is in its infancy.
Amazing.
I've had messages from people, would you like to sit down for a chat? And people that I've never met before, never spoken to before. And I think the more you can have those conversations, the potentially could lead to more business, more opportunities, increase your own quality of life, increase the quality of life of the staff that work for us. So, because that's the main thing. We employ from 10 to 12 people and they've got lives, and if we can improve them, then fantastic.
So what advice do you have for someone who's moving to the island? And of course, property renting or buying will be a major decision for someone who's relocating down to the island.
Well, if somebody's moving to the Isle of Man that ultimately wants to buy,
yes,
I would try as far as possible to get a rental property on the Isle of Man, establish what you like about the Isle of Man, because you might want to live north, south, east, west. So get a base, settle in, and then start to look at property in areas that you are warming towards.
So what makes a property market healthy in the Isle of Man?
Sorry, so the property
market.
What's it like in the market?
Yeah.
It's quite good. So the factors that are, let's say, affecting the UK market that are slowing that down are somewhat accelerating the market here. So interest rates are still high, of course, but they're coming down slowly. But there's a lack of supply and lack of available stock at certain price brackets in the Isle of Man. And that's promoting a higher demand and higher competition.
So that makes it more expensive to rent.
I don't think it makes, the rent side of things and the buying are two different things.
Yeah.
So I think the price levels from a sales point of view are relatively, they don't fluctuate too much. But over the last couple of years, you've seen rental figures grow quite year on year in terms of And that's 100% promoted or influenced by demand, which I don't necessarily think is sustainable. So properties that we were renting a couple of years ago that were £800, £900 a month are over £1,000. And nothing materially is really changed. It has changed about the property. It's just the demand, which there might be a correction. There's got to be a driver to force that correction, which is just supply. Yeah. I'd like to see I think if we can release some people at the bottom end of the rental market into the public sector, you can reduce the pressure on the bottom end and everybody could sort of shift down. So where we used to see people spending, let's say, a third of their income on rent or mortgage, especially on rent, we're seeing that creep towards 50%, which is too much.
So in your own view, what should a buyer do before considering buying a property?
Understand your budget, understand your locations, also understand your criteria. What are the driving forces behind wanting 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, bathrooms, considering your lifestyle, if you have children, do you want a garden? So understand your criteria, but understand what your negotiables are, what you're happy to compromise on. If you find the perfect house, but it happens to have a north-facing garden rather than a south-facing garden, is that negotiable? Are you willing to compromise on that? So just understand and be flexible, because there isn't thousands of houses to choose from. I wish there was, but there's not. So you got to.
Choices are limited.
Yeah, and if you can find a home that you can create into something that you want, great, go for it. Trying to find the finished article for exactly everything you want in the area that you want, on the street that you want, that's incredibly difficult. And I'm not going to change that. I can't.
Yes.
I can't pluck properties.
I that.
No, I can't pluck properties from thin air. So I wish I could. Yeah, my life would be better. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'd be a magician.
Okay, so what makes your organization special?
It's the people in it. I think whenever I interview people that are coming on board, it's really important that the personality fits internally, because you're with these people 8 hours a day most of the time. So you've got to make sure that everyone fits and is a good attitude. I look for an attitude and a type of person rather than a skill set, because if they have the basis of it, great, but you can improve upon that. You can train people, but if they're a good person, that's the main thing.
Your right attitude.
Yeah. If you're coachable and you've got the right attitude, anything's achievable.
Why Isle of Man?
Can ask my parents that, really. Well, my father came over with my mother. He used to work for an Irish bank called Ulster Bank.
Okay.
So he came over as a bank manager. Didn't know how to sell property, never experienced it, had no experience whatsoever in doing it, but found himself in one. And then he found himself buying one. So he had to get good at it, which he did. So that, I think he was just sent here by the bank. Off you go. But back in the 80s, from what I'm told, I was born in the 80s. In the 80s, the Isle of Man was the place to be. It was party central. I think my father took my mother to the Isle of Man on their second or third date when they were in their 20s. They took a plane over the Isle of Man, went on the casino and got in tuxedos. The Isle of Man was the place to be.
Yeah, well, you schooled here.
Yeah.
You went to England.
Yeah.
And you worked in England, but you came back to the Isle of Man.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the experience, but I don't miss the UK. I think a lot of my lifestyle here works for me. And I think when people are moving to the Isle of Man, what I try and say to them is, wherever they're moving from, I think if you focus on what the Isle of Man doesn't have, you're going to come unstuck quite quickly. So if you're coming from a city where there's different restaurant every night, a different bar every night, or a different experience, or a different show, or this and that, you're not going to enjoy the Isle of Man. But if you focus on the fact that the Isle of Man has an untold amount of beaches, coastline, walks, plantations, ease of accessibility around the Isle.
I also understand that we're close really.
Yeah, I think if you focus on what the Isle of Man does have, that you didn't have in your previous place, I think you'll enjoy it. So someone coming from a city that hasn't breathed the fresh air of the countryside, or I think what I found when I moved back, I moved back in like 2017, 2018. And I've been coming back to visit. But I remember doing my first work drive over the mountain road going into Ramsey, because I was going to go look at a property in Ramsey. And I remembered coming down the mountain road and it was a lovely sunny day, and I just thought, God, we're really lucky. When the sun is shining, there's nowhere nicer. And I just thought, I found myself, when I was living in London, getting to the bottom of an escalator when it was busy and getting annoyed that people at the bottom weren't moving fast enough. And I was like, God, that's so pathetic that's bothering me. So I was like, it's not the place for me. And standing this close to somebody else on a tube, no.
So your father particularly started the property business?
He didn't start it. So the business was around in 1979.
Okay.
And it was started by Mr. Cowley and Mr. Groves, who then, in that next decade, had exited the business. We didn't change the name of the business.
Just bought it over?
Yeah, so bought it and then kept the name the same. So it has been our business as a family for certainly the majority of the time it's been in operation. And yeah, it's quite all encompassing. It's 7 days a week, really. Because we're dealing
7 days a week?
No, not necessarily in the office, but it's because housing is so personal to people. A lot of people do it on their personal time. So I'll get emails. I'm not complaining of it. You get emails at night, you get emails on the weekend, you get phone calls at night, you get phone calls on the weekend. And there's an expectation there to answer those queries on a weekend or an evening. And I don't mind it. But you got to balance it with your family.
To strike a balance, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were in school, what course did you study?
I was in university.
So university.
So I did an undergraduate degree in business, and then I did a master's postgraduate in real estate.
Okay.
So then I used that degree as a conversion to become what's called a chartered surveyor.
Okay.
So that's the sort of highest level of qualification you can get in property.
Okay.
And that was another 2 years. So 3 years at undergraduate, year at master's, and then another 2 years becoming a surveyor.
Okay. Do you see yourself expanding to other region?
Sorry?
Do you see yourself expanding to other region, maybe any of the other islands?
No, there's enough going on here. There used to be, and there still is, but it's run independently. There used to be branches of Cali Growers in Northern Ireland.
Okay, Northern Ireland. Okay.
Or do I say it's expanding? Never say never. Yeah. There's got to be the right opportunity. There might be scope for, let's say, having a relocation business that has sort of satellite offices in other countries. But that's further down the line. Because I focus on what you do right now and do it well. So that's my focus.
Okay, so what are the major challenges you face as a real estate operator here on the islands?
Major challenges. It comes back to supply levels, I'd say. I think we need to build more houses. That sounds, some people will be upset by that, but because we've got so much lovely green space and filling it with new houses seems sort of a bit upsetting. But if we want to grow the population, we want to grow...
We need to have more houses here.
Yeah, we need to have more houses. We need to have more people here.
We'll have some houses that are empty. Nobody lives there.
I think maybe something, if people are, let's say you got some empty houses that are either, that need work, or let's say they need work, we need to incentivize owners, landlords to
give it out.
To give it out, to rent it out, or let's say, but there might be people that have empty properties who can't afford to redecorate them or bring them up to rental standard. I think there's got to be incentives and grants to help people do that and navigate that challenge, because it's very easy to just put your blinkers on and go, just ignore it, and then they'll sell it rather than rent it, because there's got to be a fine balance between renting homes and selling homes, because not everybody can buy. Not everybody's in a position or a time in their life where they're ready to buy.
Do you also get feedback?
Feedback on?
Yeah, from your clients.
Yeah, I like feedback, whether it's good or bad.
Do you have a process where you get the feedback? Enables you to do your work better or make corrections where
people don't need to be prompted to give you bad feedback. If it's a complaint, people will give it to you. So I think you learn a lot from that. And I think if you ignore constructive criticism,
yes,
you're not doing yourself any favors.
Mm-hmm.
But then positive feedback is always good. We get some testimonials from clients saying, you did this well. It'd be better if you did this a little bit better. Yeah, I'm always open to that. I think we're in an industry where we are quite heavily criticized. I think some people would prefer if we didn't exist, but we do. Yeah. But we tried to. We have another part of our business that allows people to do your own viewings, pay a very small fee. And it's a brand called CG, so category red, right?
Okay.
So it's not a, we didn't invent the premise of it, but let's say if you wanted to put your house on, you didn't want to pay a huge fee.
Okay.
But we'll do the photos, the marketing, get it on portals and websites, and pay for all of that. But you do your own viewings. And the fee is substantially lower.
Okay.
We have that.
Okay.
If that was people's main goal, it would be used by every single person on the Isle of Man, but it wasn't. And isn't. It's there if people want it, but I think people want our professional input.
Yes.
To achieve
viewing. Yeah.
To achieve higher values, but also they're at work. They've got their own jobs to do, their own lives, and trusting someone to navigate the process effectively and professionally is quite valuable. As it would seem, evidence suggests.
Welcome to Unpacking the Isle of Man. So, what do you think about the podcast?
I think it's great. It's nice that you're doing it and talking to people, every different walks of life. And I think it's important also, you've been here a couple of years now, and for the fact that you're wanting to do this and off your own back, chatting to regular people is important. Also give you more of an understanding of the Isle of Man and what makes it special. I mean, from your point of view, having these initial rounds of conversations with people, what have you learned about people from the Isle of Man yourself? What have you found?
Beautiful people.
Yeah.
Wonderful people. Peaceful, friendly.
Peaceful's nice.
Yeah. Accommodating.
Yeah. Do you find it quite nice and safe here as well?
Absolutely.
I think that's a big factor for people.
Yeah. It's a big factor for me.
Yeah.
It's a big factor for me, yeah.
And where did you move from?
Okay, so I'm moving from Paris. Paris, yeah.
Fantastic.
I used to live in Paris, and we live in city center.
Yeah.
Very, very crowded. And when we're moving with the kids, I was like, wow, this place is quiet.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we adjusted and became part of our life because I always like it quiet. Thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah.
It's good to have you on Unpacking the Isle of Man.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I will pay you a course visit one of these days. You will share with us your logo so that we can promote your organization alongside this podcast.
Oh, not even that. It's just nice to have a chat.
At no cost.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.